am blind. I have been blind since I was an infant. Some call this a disability. Some call it a challenge. But me, I don't know any different, so I just call it life. I am from Waimea on the big island of Hawaii. Like any other teenage kid, I have goals and dreams and hopes. By living my life and trying to achieve my goals, I have come to learn something that might cause some of you to think about things a bit differently. It is something that has helped me to achieve and even allowed me to be here specifically today. What is this thing that I'm talking about? It is simply this. In my own life, I see no limits. You may want to laugh at that statement because, in reality, I see nothing at all. So, of course, I see no limits. But let me further explain. I am not trying to say that one day I just decided to rise above and achieve beyond the boundaries that were set for me. No. What I am saying is that because I am not able to visually see the world around me, I do not understand boundaries and limitations in the same way that those of you with your sight do. It seems to me that in some very significant ways, having your sight may be more limiting than being blind. One of my dreams is to become a television producer. If I told all of you to close your eyes and envision a blind television producer, you would probably laugh. That might sound ridiculous to you, but it doesn't to me, because your eyes haven't seen such a thing done successfully. You suppose that it can't be done. Now, imagine a person flying an airplane. That's pretty easy to do, because all of you have either flown on an airplane or seen one flown by a pilot on TV or in the movies. You have seen it, so you know that it can be done. Yet, if you were to have asked anyone who lived a little over 100 years ago to picture the same thing, they would have thought it crazy. Their eyes had not yet seen such a thing, and therefore, it was something considered impossible. People tend to base their limits and boundaries on what they see and what is around them. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And that is such a great quote, and even cooler to use today since two of his grandsons are here. But Mandela was right. People may think certain things are impossible until they see otherwise. That's the great thing about being blind. I don't see around me what is considered normal, acceptable, or impossible. So there is no reason for me to ever doubt that something can be done. I don't have any visual input to tell me otherwise. For instance, as a young boy, I had no reason to think that wanting to play the keyboard and eventually the piano was something that should have been difficult for me. Rather than being difficult, it was like music easily found its way to me and filled up my dark world with its beauty, harmony, and rhythm. I was introduced to the keyboard at school. For me, the first time my fingers touched those keys, I felt overjoyed. It completely changed my world and my entire life. Soon after, a friend gave me a small keyboard. My family quickly realized that I had a special gift. Without having had any lessons, I was able to create melodies and rhythms on the keyboard with ease. To me, it wasn't difficult. In fact, my grandmother, who I call Ama, remembers taking me to church with her and Grandpa one Sunday, and then returning to their home afterwards. I began to play the keyboard. My Ama heard me play one of the church hymns precisely as I had heard it during the service. She said that she wept as she listened to me play the piece perfectly. You see, I didn't know it was remarkable to be able to do that. I only did what I felt natural and came easily to me. After that experience, my grandparents knew that it was important for me to be able to play on a full-size keyboard. So they bought a piano. At the time, I didn't have a piano in my house. So I was only able to play their piano on weekends when my parents took me to visit. Music has continued to play a bigger role in my life. Every Sunday morning, I love to listen to the live broadcasts of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir's music and the spoken word. I've come to consider Richard Elliott, their organist, one of my personal heroes. Because of my connection to that spiritual music, I decided to also teach myself to play the organ. I love to play the piano, but the organ is truly my passion. So basically, I've been playing the piano for 4 years and the organ for 3 years. But keep in mind that during the majority of that time, I was only able to play on weekends. I don't know how to explain what it is that I am able to do. If I hear a song, it is forever imprinted in my brain. I'm able to play it back on the piano or the organ after only hearing it once or twice. Because of this musical gift, my life has been greatly changed. Through the help of my family and many friends, I was able to raise enough money last summer to produce my first CD and finally purchase my own piano. That was a dream come true for me. I now have a piano in my own home. 1 year ago, I had never even left the Hawaiian Islands. And now, here I am on stage in New York City. Or at least that's where they tell me I am. It all looks the same to me. All of these musical accomplishments in my life didn't ever seem out of reach for me because I never learned that they should have been. I didn't know that a blind people shouldn't be able to sit down at a piano and easily learn how to play. I did it because I wanted to and never doubted my ability to do so. Each of us within ourselves has untapped potential. We all have the ability to be extraordinary and do incredible things. But sometimes I think those of you who see oftentimes see limitations on the road to your success. But it doesn't have to be that way. Start seeing like this blind kid from Hawaii. There are many examples throughout history of people reaching beyond perceived boundaries and finding success. How about the Wright brothers, for example? After their landmark flight in 1903, nobody believed that it had been done. They were ignored, doubted, and even called liars before finally being taken seriously. Why? Because no one believed that a man could fly in a flying machine. It was beyond the limits of the day. No one had ever seen it. A fellow blind person who redefined the limits was Helen Keller. She had the added difficulty of also being deaf. Through the hard work of her tutor, Annie Sullivan, Keller was able to defy all limits and learn to read, speak, and eventually graduate from college. At that time, no one thought it possible. Yet she proved that the limits people see are often just perceptions that needed to be changed. Even though time passes and people continue to do amazing things, there will always be new ways for people to choose to see no limits. There are kids here today who have done just that. How about Cade Monroy? Prior to his incredible cardboard arcade, do you think anyone would have even thought it possible? Doubtful. But he chose to see no limits. Kelvin Doe as well. He had a vision to take things he found at the landfill, once other people's junk, and use it to build a radio station. He transformed trash into something beneficial for his community. All of these people I just mentioned were people who didn't allow themselves to be blinded by sight. I believe that ability is within all of us. Look at me. I am blind, but I have had the courage to decide that I could still do things that others might think impossible. Like teaching myself to play the piano and the organ so quickly. Or how about this story? A little over a year ago, I did something else, which was outside of my so-called boundary. Like all teenagers, I wanted to learn to drive. So I asked Papa, my grandfather, to teach me. It will surprise you to know that he agreed. So he took me to our small 5-acre ranch and instruction began. First, he charted the course from the gate to the pig pen. Then he explained the fundamentals of operating the truck. I sat down in the driver's seat, ready for my first driving experience. I listened to my papa as he gave me detailed instruction. Press the gas softly. Turn the wheel to the left. Turn right. Use the brakes to slow down. And other such commands. Yes, my friends, I've actually drove that truck. I was in the driver's seat, and Papa was my guide. Now, who said a blind person can't drive? I can drive, even if it's only in a fenced-off area. I mean, the worst thing that could have happened is that I could have run into the fence. But then it wouldn't have been my fault. It would have been my papa's because he didn't give me good directions. This past summer, I was playing the piano for some of my friends in Utah. Someone asked me if I could play an entire song using only the black keys. I was confused and asked, which ones are the black keys? Did that person who asked me forget that I was blind? Nobody had ever told me before that there was a black and white keys. They explained to me that the black keys were all of the raised keys. As soon as I knew that, I had no problem playing Amazing Grace using only the black keys. To me, music is not black and white. It's not notes on a page. It's not even whole notes and half notes. To me, music is feeling. Music is emotion. It is my very soul. Many people have been both touched and impressed by my ability to play a song after only hearing it once or twice. But I think that's because everyone else views music as a skill that must be learned and practiced. I don't think of it in those terms. To me, music is a God-given gift that I have had the privilege of nurturing. I love nothing more than to share that gift with anyone who will listen. Yes, I drove a vehicle. Yes, I taught myself to play the piano and the organ. I've even ridden a horse. These are all the things that people may have thought impossible or outside of my limits. But they weren't. For my future, I want to be a world-renowned organist. And yes, I even want to be a television producer. Impossible? I choose to believe not. Through my simple life experiences, I have come to know that I can often do more and be more than others may think. The truth is, it can be that way for all of us. Every single one of you has the ability to be someone great, regardless of your circumstances. I invite all of you to close your eyes, close them tightly, and block out all of these images telling you that you can't. Welcome to the world of no limits, where your eyes don't have to dictate what is and what is not possible. I challenge you, do not ask why. Rather, dare to see no limits, and instead ask, why not?
Good job, Kuha'o.